The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
We're broadcasting. It's an away game for all of us this morning. We're broadcasting from the Sydney Nova studios. And it was a late night, early start. What do we need? What's every breakfast radio host need of a morning? Coffee.
Depends.
Yeah.
Perth or...
What did you say, Luttsy?
Oh, the Perth team. You know, they're on all sorts of stuff over there.
Oh, right.
Perth
Coffee, obviously.
Yeah, coffee.
yeah.
Coffee.
Coffee.
So
Yeah,
we
right.
got here, got here this morning, Ubered in from the hotel and hadn't had a coffee yet. I'm normally about 4 deep at this stage, even without a late night last night. Susan's the same. So we go straight to the kitchen to make a cup of coffee, except we went to a different kitchen. There's a little side kitchen just to the side of the studios here. We didn't see it yesterday. We were walking all the way down to the main kitchen.
That's a special Fitzy Whipper and Cake kitchen.
Oh.
Yeah, they get their own one.
Yeah.
Their own one.
Yeah.
That's
Is it?
interesting.
Yeah.
You're not,
Is
even,
there like
you're not
a-
even supposed to be in there, mate.
Is there like etiquette about people not being allowed in there or?
Yeah.
I assume so.
Oh, okay. Well, we didn't know that. We just saw the closest kitchen. We went in there.
Yeah.
There's a coffee machine in there. And I went, and
I switched it on.
Sue switched
But
it
it
on.
doesn't work. It says that it needs water. It needs
Yes.
water, Ash.
So we're looking at it and I'm like, oh. And to Suze's credit, Suze went, oh, it's too hard. And I went, oh, no, we'll just put some water in it.
To my credit, I said it's too hard.
She gave up.
gave
so
up.
she instantly gave up. And I was like, well, let's put some water in it. I've seen people put water in a coffee machine at work before. And I just grabbed a glass of water and I filled that up. And then there's like a little lid thing at the top of the coffee machine.
Let's chuck it in there.
And I've gone, here, I'll go in here. And I poured it in. And then
It made a funny noise.
I had a funny noise. And then as I looked, I saw that what had risen is all the coffee beans. All the coffee beans now are floating.
But not for too long because then it
In a
started
se-
coming out of the
yes.
coffee machine.
And I went, oh, jeez. Oh, look, the coffee... this is in the coffee beans. Then Suze goes, now it's coming out the bottom of the machine. And I grabbed a napkin and I put it there and I just went, let's get the hell out of here.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
I've come across something this morning on Instagram that looks exactly to me like what Luttsy would have been like as a 6-year-old. So basically...
Yeah, it was gorgeous. Very attractive 6-year-old it was.
This person is attractive.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
It's a Tennessee rep. It's actually a politician over in America, and he's giving a speech that's live streamed. And for some reason, he invited his 6-year-old son to sit behind him, as he's doing this serious speech. But the son has gone viral because all he does the whole time while his dad is speaking is make faces at the camera. And
that's
it's gone
awesome.
viral. It's
Little
made-
ginger kid?
yeah.
Yeah, he's a fully blown ginger.
Yeah.
It's up on our socials at the moment. I sent it to Know It All Nick.
You can't put ginger kids in that circumstance because we're going to wreck it.
Yeah.
You can't put any kids. Who would put their kid behind them, a 6-year-old, while they're giving a serious speech? Didn't Trump's son did he do something?
No,
like
remember Trump's son, didn't he fall asleep?
He fell asleep.
The inauguration ceremony. What's that word I'm looking for?
that? Yeah.
Inauguration, something.
He fell asleep because it went so long.
That kid is awesome. Is it definitely his son?
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be, right?
Yeah, it said as his...
What is he there for? That doesn't look unlike me as a 6-year-old, by the way.
I know. That's what really drew me to it. And the fact that he's pulling faces and poking his tongue out, and he knows he's on camera too. He's performing for the camera.
Yeah.
The little kid
If I'd have done that to my dad, he would have killed me.
belted you. Yeah.
But that's awesome.
It's on our socials if you want to check it out.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
The swimming trials for the Olympic team start on Monday. And before that, there's a really interesting documentary called Boiling Point.
This looks really cool.
I think it's about, well, we'll find out what it's about, but I think it's about America versus Australia in the pool. But we've got Olympic swimmer Gian Rooney on the line. How you going, Gian?
Good morning, team. How are you all feeling? A little dusty?
Yeah, a little bit. The result went our way, Gian, so we,
In a good mood.
You're a
Completely
Queenslander, aren't you?
agree.
Okay.
Born in Brisbane.
Well, but you live in New South Wales. I wasn't sure.
Well,
I
state of
do.
origin,
Well,
born in Brisbane.
Exactly right. It very much comes up against my husband and I. He's a New South Welshman. I'm a Queenslander. We sit at opposite ends of the
Nice.
couch and we heckle each other. So it's a great rivalry between us. But this doco is a great rivalry as well, as Susie said, between
segue.
Australia and the
Oh,
US.
this is good. Very good.
You're going to go to a different type of Olympics, the Segway Olympics.
Oh, I try.
So is it because I've only seen the shorts of it, as I think we all have, and it seems like it's a USA Australia rivalry. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Susie and I could talk about this forever because we've been a part of it. But, I mean, Susie, even before our time, the great rivalry between the US and Australia it goes way back. But my first memory, if you like, is of Duncan Armstrong winning the 200 freestyle over Matt Biondi in 1988. And Duncan wasn't even meant to make the final. He was ranked like 36 in the world going into that event and beat the wonderful, amazing Matt Biondi. And, you know, Laurie Lawrence going mad in the stands and all of that. And that kind of really, I think, kicked it off. But Sydney 2000, like lots of people have said to me, is it just a one-way thing? Like, do we just think there's a rivalry with the US? Do the US actually think there's a rivalry with us? And I remind them of Sydney 2000 and Gary Hall Jr. saying that we're going to smash the Australians like guitars. And then we beat them.
I think that was when I talk to people, that's one of the races they always bring up is that 4x100 freestyle relay, if everyone remembers it, Sydney, and Thorpe coming home and beating the Americans and the home crowd going off. It was amazing, wasn't it, Gian?
It was just bonkers. It was incredible. And then the boys getting up and, you know, actually playing the air guitar behind the back of the block. So it's happened, I guess, throughout, but it's a wonderful doco. It's on Sunday night at 7 p.m. on Channel 9 and kind of just explores that rivalry between the US and Australia. It continues today. I mean, I can't wait to see Ariane Titmus go up against Katie Ledecky in Paris this year again in that 400 freestyle, the greatest American distance female swimmer we've ever had, in Katie Ledecky, and Arnie, who got the win over her in the 400 freestyle in Tokyo a few years ago. So that rivalry continues, and it's always a great day when an Australian can take out a win over the US competitor.
I'm really impressed by, and Sue's obviously bringing you in on this as well, Ashley to a lesser extent, given yours. I mean, although you are a fourth place getter at the World Masters Swimming Championships in Fukuoka last year. But I'm really impressed.
I PB'd when it mattered too.
He did PB, Gian.
Yep,
But,
pressure,
I'm really,
dealt with the pressure well.
I'm impressed by, I feel like the swimming's quite aggressive right now and how they're chasing new techniques. Obviously, the fact that the swimming trials are so close to the Olympic Games, which the stats speak for themselves, but also is quite a ballsy move to do that. Like, it'd be easier probably, you know, a lot of sports just say, look, we'll do it in January, and then you rebuild and you compete again. But it's a fairly aggressive approach we're taking, and I really hope it pays dividends.
I think so. Well, we've been doing it for the last few years, and I guess the idea behind trials being only 6 weeks out of the major competition, this year obviously being the Olympics, is that you choose your most informed team. Whereas back in my day, with Susie as well, we used to do trials 6 months out of the major competition. And so it did break up the year really well and allowed you to have 2 big tapers leading into the event. But a lot can happen in 6 months, as we know.
And don't you reckon it's... Oh, sorry, I was butting. Don't you reckon it's going to be amazing at the trials as well? Because we've got so much depth in so many events. Like in the women's 100 freestyle, the top 8 who make the final could probably all win a medal at the Olympics. That's how good
I said we could field 2 4x1 freestyle teams in the women's and medal in both. Exactly right. So I mean, the depth is incredible. Athletes? Like, you consider as well that you've got Kate Campbell, who will hopefully feature in that final, who's trying to go to her 5th Olympics and very well could miss out. And it's the great Kate Campbell, just given the depth that we have in the incredible, you know, Australian swim team at the moment. I think this Paris team is going to be one of the most exciting Australian swim teams we've ever had. Isn't that a big call?
Oh, yeah.
So cool. Okay.
You can watch
Sunday night,
exciting.
7 p.m.
Yeah, that's
Channel
when
9.
the doco's on. But then you can watch the actual trials on Channel 9 as well from Monday to Saturday next week.
It's an appetizer to the trials coming up.
Bring it
That's right.
on.
Just get in the mode.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gian.
Bye, Gian.
Thanks, team.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
When have you run into someone that you know in a really crowded spot? For example, you know, hear those stories. People go to New York and they run into their next door neighbour. What happened to me yesterday?
Yeah, I do. It's always usually people don't want to really necessarily see all the time.
Sometimes.
You know, for instance, New York, I'd run into this bloke I went to uni with all the time.
Really? Every time you went there?
Like literally in New York, I'm like, oh my god, I've run into him again. I didn't really go.
That wasn't me, was it?
No,
That was that.
but I mean, in theory, that could have been. I remember thinking at the time, oh, it could have been Miranda Kerr.
Yeah.
The chances of me seeing her are exactly the same as seeing this dude, but I see him all the time.
Yeah. Well, I ran into someone yesterday who I wanted to see, but it was still amazing that I ran into him. Although I do wonder if he had a tracking device on me, to be honest.
Who is it?
I'm starting to think that might be the
Well,
case.
I was walking through Sydney City yesterday. I went to the gym and I was at the gym and I wasn't feeling it, so I thought I'm just going to go for a walk instead because I've got to start banging my bones out because I've got getting osteoporosis.
I feel the same way.
And so I was walking down George Street in the city, and all of a sudden, who turns around in front of me and says, "Hey, Suze." My cousin Greg. My cousin Greg.
Come on.
Didn't you say you were hooking up with him, though? Like,
Well,
I knew he was
hooking up with
here.
him for years.
Yeah. I knew he was here, but we decided not to meet up.
oh, and you ran into each other?
Yes, I was walking down George Street, and he goes, "Hey, Suze." I'm like, "Greg, what are the chances?" Because I didn't walk straight from the hotel. Like everything it was a sliding door moment. Everything would have had to exactly that time.
Yeah.
You know how busy this
Yeah.
Sydney. Honestly, we weren't meeting up. And then when I run into him, I go, "Where are you off to?" Or he goes, "Are you lost?" Because I was actually just walking around with my headphones on, trying to find food. But anyway, I didn't know where to go, and anyway, long story. And I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "I'm going to meet our other cousin, Andrew, for his 50th birthday lunch." And
What?
Which you weren't invited to. That's
No.
interesting.
So Andrew's.
Yeah.
Well, he was just Andrew is from Coolangatta, and he just flew down with his wife for his 50th to get a suit made, some special suit, that you wear.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Greg was in town, and Greg said that I wasn't in town to Andrew. Anyway, that's another story.
Makes sense.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then so I hooked along with Greg to go to lunch with Andrew. And so we all had lunch yesterday from 12:30 to 6 p.m.
Yeah, you were pretty blind when you got. I came down to the. Oh, wasn't I supposed to say that?
No, that's fine.
No, when we were on the couches about to go to the footy, I was like, hang on. Susie's strapped one on here. Like, this is like, you were, the eyes were red. Like, I can tell that when you've been, having a few drinkies and then you start saying stuff that doesn't make sense, which you said all night. Honestly.
But the other thing I did, that's why, there was another reason why I was a bit red-faced, because we went to this, the restaurant was at, cafe actually was at George Street, was miles from the hotel. It was really fun, but I got just about back to the hotel and I'd left my jacket and headphones at lunch.
Oh,
God.
And so I had to go back, but we were running out of time because we were leaving in like 20 minutes and I was nearly back to the hotel, so I had to run back to the restaurant. And then
So that's why you're red-faced?
that's why I was a bit red-faced, and then everything was
Why were you talking in
overwhelming.
Swahili?
Was I talking funny?
Yeah, you said something weird to... Was it you, Buzz? Oh, we didn't understand what you meant. It was like completely...
Didn't make sense.
Made no sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But the
No, yeah, you said something like, "Oh, you guys came down here a lot earlier, didn't you?" I'm like, "What? No." Yeah, because you were coming down earlier. And I was like, "What are you talking about?
I know what I was trying to say.
What were you trying to say?"
I was trying to say you didn't text me to meet earlier when we left yesterday morning.
Ah, you were formulating a joke.
No, I wasn't joking. I was just trying to say, did you guys meet earlier? Because I didn't get the text message.
Ah,
But I must have left out all the joining words and some consonants.
it made
other
no
things.
sense. Yeah, and we hadn't. We did our own thing yesterday.
Yeah. But what was the point? But what was the chances of me
Well, again, it's the same.
running into Greg?
It's the same as you running into Karl Stefanovic, because there's no reason why the two of you should have been in the same.
did he know where you were
Area.
staying?
No, he didn't know where I was staying. He didn't know where I was staying, and he was coming from Bondi, and he'd caught the light rail in. Honestly, I think it was.
I went to.
If it was a love
big
story,
coincidence.
if it was a love story, they'd get.
You'd say you're
they'd
meant to be
they'd get
together.
meant to
Yeah,
be
I think
together.
you're meant to be together.
It's a sliding
He's
doors
my
thing
cousin.
that you and Greg are supposed to
my
be. And,
cousin.
and that is still frowned upon, by the way.
No, I beg
Dating
to differ.
When I was over in England, at one of those walkabout bars, I ran into an old, like a primary school friend of mine that I hadn't seen in years, and we weren't really, when you're Facebook friends but you don't actually talk to someone.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
Facebook friends, and now we constantly talk because we just ran into each other on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
It definitely happens.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.
I was talking about how I ran into my cousin Greg in the middle of Sydney CBD, and we asked the question, when have you run into someone that you know
Weird spot.
in a weird spot? Yeah, so we got a few answers, actually.
Did we just?
If they're grey, does that mean we go to them?
Yeah.
Okay. Trent, what happened to you?
Hey guys, how you going?
Hey.
I worked with a lady 15 years ago and I had the hot for her, but she was married then. And then we hadn't spoken for 15 years and I ran into her in a place up in Noosa at the end of December last year and asked her for a phone number, and 3 days later we had lunch and we've been together ever since.
Has she broken up with her husband?
Yes. Broken
Wow,
up with her husband a long time ago. Yeah, and she's amazing. She's the love of my life. She's unreal.
Good on you, brother.
That's a sign. What if you had,
That's a good result. That's more exciting than Greg.
yeah, but that's like a sliding door moment. Like if you weren't in that exact spot, like you say you decided
It changed
to,
his life.
Yeah, it changed your life.
Ali.
Has he gone, has he?
Oh.
Go on, mate. They're just too in love.
No, Ali.
Hello, how are you?
Good. What happened to you? Who did you meet where you shouldn't have?
Oh, no, it wasn't like that. Many moons ago, when Fox Studios had just opened in Sydney, I had a job there as part of the meet and greet in admissions, and befriended this lovely guy by the name of Peter, not romantically involved or anything. Anyway, definitely, he was wired a different way, if you catch my drift. But anyway, so many moons, yeah. So I think it was about 15 years later, I had got a job working on cruise ships in the Caribbean with Carnival. And it was just one of the ships. I've been on 5 in total. One of the ships I was on, we had docked in Cozumel, Mexico. And I was walking down the long pier to Fat Tuesdays, which is, I don't know if you know what Fat Tuesdays is, but
No
drinking
idea.
hole.
I don't want to know.
There's many things I understand in this
No,
conversation.
it sounds
Is it
bad, but
vital
it's-
we know what Thatcher's Dave is
You need to know what Fat
to understand
Tuesdays
the rest of the story, or?
It's just a drinking place. Anyway, when I got down to the end of the pier, there he was. There was Peter sitting in a group amongst, he was a dancer on board the cruise ship. So, yeah, in Mexico, on the other side of the world, there he was. I almost
Dancer on a
died. I couldn't
cruise
believe
ship.
it.
So you were
Yeah,
still wired
cruise
differently?
That's right.
Mandy.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
I'm pretty confused, but keep going.
So my husband had this friend growing up through teenage years, and they were absolutely wild together, had the best time. He went on to be a truck driver, his friend, and he could be absolutely anywhere in Australia at any given time. He was just like that. At the start of the year, my husband did a FIFO gig over in Western Australia, and he was waiting on a connecting flight at the airport, and he hears this, "Oi, I know that head," and it was his best mate, and they caught up over the other side of Australia. It was unreal.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
It was lovely. And that's his catchphrase. Oi, I know that head. That's his catchphrase. It's hilarious.
I like
I
that.
actually ran into someone at the stadium I knew last night too.
Oh, actually, so did I.
Yeah.
Who?
Oh, it was a guy I went on a surf trip with. Luke,
Oh, yeah, I remember you said that.
Luke
yeah.
Egan, yeah, back in December. And we were at the bar together. Like out of 70,000 people.
Well,
Yeah, it was
Luke
weird.
Egan, the
Luke,
surfer.
yeah, the pro surfer.
No, we thought it was him before we went on the trip.
That's why you
with him.
invited him.
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie Snackbox.